Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Alex Waters Show. I'm your host, Alex Waters. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode in the future. And on this week's show, I have Demi Rewell. We met through friends. And you know what I really liked about Demi? She actually approached me and pitched this idea to me. And she said, you know what, Alex, I love your podcast and I'm really enjoying listening to it, but I also think that it would be really valuable for people if, you know, someone like myself came on the show and actually shared what it's like to be kind of in the trenches, working at my goals and working on myself as a human being, and share the day-to-day struggles kind of as it's happening. And we can talk about that and work through it. And I really, really like that because, you know, something that really got brought to the front in this episode is the realness of, you know, what it's like to just be going through it every single day. Because, you know, I've kind of been on this personal growth and success journey for, you know, the last decade really. And now I feel like I'm at a point where, you know, I don't really come up against huge mental challenges and self-judgment in myself. That doesn't happen. But I get that most people actually do, and a lot of people experience anxiety and comparison and, you know, limiting beliefs and all of those kinds of things. So if that sounds like you and you're just on a path and you want to get ahead in life, you want to, you know, become the best version of yourself and live the life that you desire, this episode is going to be really great for you to listen to for that very reason. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. This is Demi Rewell, episode 11 of the Alex Waters Show. See you on the other side. Demi, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation with you. Interesting listeners, interesting one. Demi and I have known each other for a while through friends, but we actually were out for Demi's birthday, and Demi came up to me and basically pitched me on kind of this conversation and topic of conversation to be had for the podcast. And yeah, I really, really liked it. So I think everyone listening is going to get an incredible amount of value out of this. Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a different conversation to any other episode we've had so far. So
I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you hit me up the next day and you were like, you were serious?
Yeah.
So that was good. So I was like, yeah, I'm serious.
Definitely. So what we're going to be talking about today is, you know, I suppose like the path to success and what that, you know, looks like, going through the struggles of that and really giving people tips and, you know, tips and ideas on how to guide their way through that process. So something that's really special about where you're at is, you know, as you said before we got rolling, is that you're kind of on that path right now. You don't feel like you've reached a place of success or necessarily where you want to go in your vision for your life. So talk to us about what that path looks like for you right now and how you define success for yourself in your life.
Well, I think I've had some successes because I've gone and made these goals, and I've been, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to achieve that. And I've like manifested of it. Like I've thought about it. But ultimately, like the big, you know, mansion on the hill goal where it's the be all or end all, I'm on my way there, but I haven't got there yet. So, you know what I mean? I think to me, success is having freedom. And with that, you have choices and options and opportunity, like all those O's. And that's, I think, where I'm trying to get. I want the freedom to be able to choose when to work, when not to work, freedom when I spend my time with family and friends and loved ones, and when I need to spend it, you know, with clients or, you know, whatever the position is that I end up in. I'm still not 100% sure where that is. Like right now, I'm doing real estate, which I've just started.
Which everyone knows, I own a real estate office, and that's my background as well. So there's some synergy.
Yeah, but and I'm loving it. Like I love what I do. I love talking and meeting heaps of different people, and I feel like I'm in a unique position to most real estate agents as such to actually help people. Because it's like how we work is from a different angle. So I feel good about that. I don't go to bed and I'm like, oh, I just took money off someone who is like not in a position to buy a house. It's never the case. So that it's good. It feels good to the soul to be a salesperson, but not. It's actually kind of turned on its head.
Yeah, sales doesn't have to always be, you know, kind of this dog eat dog, like slimy world. And I think certainly in today's age, like day and age, 2020. What I'm seeing is the companies that are not adapting and not evolving, and salespeople that don't evolve are kind of just falling away slowly because, you know, people are more aware. They've got all the information at their fingertips. It's pretty hard to do people over these days. And it's obviously, not the right thing. So I suppose, you know, you're not sure maybe where you end up. You talk about having freedom and flexibility, options and choice, which for me, you know, I think like really epitomizes how I define success. It's like the ability to do what I want with who I want when I want.
Yeah.
And something you raised earlier was that, you know, on the path to kind of, you know, that destination, if you want to call it that, is a bunch of daily struggles and challenges that you come up against. So talk to me about what that looks like for you.
So to be honest, right now, with my day-to-day position, like just starting in the industry, it's the fact that I'm like comparing myself a lot to what I see around me. So it's the struggle to try and not compare what you're, say, 2 months within doing so to compare to someone's 6 years or even someone's 9 months, 18 months. It's going to look very, very different because if I look back and compare myself from, you know, week 1 to, you know, 5 hours ago, totally different. Totally different personality, totally different energy, different mindset even. Like I feel like the change is there and it's for the better, which is good because it's what I wanted. But like it was a struggle to get there because all I did was look at someone else's, you know, lawn and be like, oh wow, it's so good and they're doing so well and they know everything and oh, why can't I be like that? And it's that struggle of when you're constantly comparing yourself to what you perceive as someone doing better than you. And I think that's pretty much across the board. Like I think people do that a lot on social media, especially when you see someone, you know, having a new car or a new house or another holiday, or not really with COVID, but you know what I mean? So like I feel like it's often that people would compare and they find what's wrong with them, you know, with quotation marks, what's wrong with them around it, and it just puts you in this slump and then like negative attracts negative kind of mindset, and then when things like a few things go wrong, like minor things, it just triggers that, you know, either anxiety or that sad negative mindset, and it's awful. It's awful, and it takes a long time and a lot of hard work to mentally pull yourself out of it, and a lot of people won't even talk about it as well, which is rough,
which I think is why we're having this conversation today. Like I'm you know, thanks for coming here and choosing to be so vulnerable as well. But you know, I think on that, right, like my philosophy is healthy competition, not comparison. And
absolutely.
And really, you know, because look, here's the thing. It is okay, especially, it's okay at any point in your journey, in your life, to look at someone else's life and go, you know what, I actually really like aspects of that person, who they are, what they've attracted into their life. That looks cool. I actually want to experience that.
Oh, 100%.
But I think the key thing to remember is that just because they've got something else or they're doing something else, it doesn't make them any better than you. It just means they're experiencing life differently.
100%. And that's, a lot of people do the comparison and not where it is the like, oh, I could get that or I could be that. It's like the negative side of the coin where it's like, why isn't my life like that? And people get stuck with that, where instead of kind of having a different approach and changing the way you think about the exact same thing or the exact same person in that dream car of yours or the dream house or that nice lifestyle, you know, can totally change everything around you and how you approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think, you know, it's good to take bits and pieces from other people, but understand that you're in competition completely with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I want to jump to something here that I've got. So people who listen and people who watch the video don't actually know. I have a whiteboard with like some notes in front of the, like behind the camera, so I can just refer to things. I kind of have some, you know, there's a lot of topics to normally cover in these podcasts, and if I didn't have notes, I honestly probably would just talk about psilocybin mushrooms all the time. So
just ramble.
And business, my number two passions. But you know, I think a lot of this is that people get caught up in thinking that they don't have time or thinking they should be somewhere else other than where they are right now. And the two characteristics I think that come out of that is to have patience and determination at the same time. Yeah. But you know, particularly coming out of your teens where, you know, there's like all this pressure on coming out of school, and like basically school is a funnel to create jobs, like skilled jobs in the workforce, right? It's a funnel to send people to uni or create skilled jobs.
Yeah.
And there's this pressure put on people as to you must really know what you want to do and what you want to be when you end out of school, right? So do you think that actually creates a lot of this conditioned pressure that, you know, young people have on themselves? Yeah,
especially in today's like economy, what's going on, where it's as you've gone back 2-3 generations, it was not a drama to achieve those things, to have, you know, that car, to have the house on the single, you know, income. Now it's like we have housemates.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's new. That's super new. To cover one rent or a mortgage, and it's if you're obviously able to get it. It's hard to not put yourself in debt these days. It's almost too easy, and then when you want those big ticket items, it makes it really, really hard, and you've got to have all this pressure on you to have it all figured out. So when you're 17, 18 and you get that, you know, high school completed tick, you know, done, and you're schooling, it's like, okay, so you've got your uni already locked in, you know what you want to do. I remember I panicked and I was like, I kind of like writing. What can I do with that? And what's gonna be exciting and fun and fulfilling and make me light up in the morning? Like, obviously I'm not gonna jump out of bed every morning like I'm going to work, like, but what's going to make me feel like
that
I'm
is
not
possible
just,
though.
Yeah, exactly. That's the house on the hill dream that I'm going towards. You know what I mean? So, but you know, I was like, oh well, maybe journalism, and then I was like, cool, let's try that. And then I realized that I kind of liked it, but there was a lot about it that I didn't like. And then I was like, okay, well maybe marketing, and then I was like, okay, I like a lot of this. This is cool. But now it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, is it not the right company? Is it not the right industry? Maybe I'm not suited for marketing. And I'm 24 now. And a lot of people that I knew at uni have got their degree and they've started with 7 or they've started with ABC or they've started doing the journalism and stuff. And I'm like, that could be me. That could have been me.
Are you happy about that decision?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I kind of look back and I'm like, when I'm doing that little comparison, again, which is not healthy, because it's not a healthy comparison, but I go, no, I'm grateful for my path that I've chosen now, because I've come so far and I've had so much more life experience that I wanted for me. So I might, you know what, I still stand by that call of saying, you know what, I'll put that on hold and see what I want to do, and then disappearing from the uni. Yeah, so.
For sure. You know, this is a couple of times now you've mentioned like the house on the hill dream. And what you mean by that is like, what, a really nice big house somewhere?
No, it's kind of the I'm using it as a bit of like a
Like a cliche.
yeah, like it's the dream. So they have this term where it's like the American dream house, but obviously then it's like the dog and the picket fence and the children.
Sure.
It's like that cliche dream. So everyone has their house on the hill dream. So, you
Sure.
know, someone's might be that they own their own company and have a holiday house in Margaret River and that. And then where mine is, like, I kind of want to be a bit of a silent investor. I want to do charity work. I want to be involved and throw cool events. I like trading and doing like the stock market. I like property. I want to have a property portfolio. I want to have get my finger in a pie in terms of doing house staging. Like, I've got all these things that I want to do, and I'm like, my dream, where it's the house on the hill, is I'm in a position to have the opportunity and freedom to decide what hat I put on that day. If I want to be working with a charity like my charity that day, or if I want to do trading that day, or I want to be, you know, in researching properties and getting another property under my belt in terms of finding a good investment, or building a house, like having the freedom to kind of just go and do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. So that's my dream.
Sure.
I think I want to be able to just give myself as much opportunity and as much freedom to do anything and everything as I possibly can. So I thought, now if I just try and find something that I am passionate about and good at, and just take that first step towards it and just fix my mindset. And then I can take the next step, and it might be taking more things on board, so more responsibilities or more higher level responsibilities with anything. So it might be one-upping myself at the gym. It might be putting and investing more money aside for stuff, and taking on that extra load. You know, taking on more work with my current role, or, you know, taking a new position as well. So I'm just trying to do it and do what's manageable for me right now, and try and not kid myself as well.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's like, I
think you've got to be realistic about where you're at and what you can handle. I just want to backtrack a little bit about the house on the hill thing, because I think like lots of people dream. And lots of people don't.
Everyone dreams.
Lots of people don't though, but it's actually really healthy to dream, and like I think it's awesome, and it's awesome that you can sit here and talk about like all these things that you want to create in your life. But you know, like I think coming from me, someone who's kind of been through lots of different things in my life, and I've pushed myself to the extreme, like, you know, basically made myself unhealthy and unhappy through like trying to achieve a certain level of success, which to me at the time was money. And I did it, but I just got really unhealthy at the same time. You know, I think a lot of people maybe think that they're going to be happier once they get these things. How do you feel about that in your life right now? Like, do you feel like really at peace and like happy right now?
No, don't. But what I will say is that each month and each year that goes by, like every year I have this thing, like on my birthday, I kind of do like this self-evaluation. Okay. Does it sound weird?
No, I think I used to do something similar.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because what I do is I kind of look back at where I was a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, and kind of think, am I in a better situation now? Yes. Am I happier now? Yes. Are the people around me better quality people that I actually want to spend time with, and I feel good about spending time with them? Yes. Like, okay, am I happy where I live? Blah, blah, blah. I kind of go through all these things about like my own happiness, which I'm using right now to define my success. And if I answer yes to majority of those, I feel really, really good. I feel like I've spent the past year making good choices and, you know, bettering myself.
Why would you say that why did you answer no to that question?
Because I'm still stressed. I'm still working on myself. I let the little things that I know better that shouldn't bother me and weigh me down do. I struggle a lot with anxiety, and a lot of the time it's me in the kitchen talking with my partner, like literally on Sunday, and I'm like, I'm so stressed, I'm so wound up, and I don't know why. And it's like, okay, well, we need to maybe take a step back and take a breath, and let's think of 3 things that I'm grateful for, and kind of, I'm starting to do that now. So hopefully in a year's time, when I look back, I'm again in a better position. I am happier, I'm less, but I am a stressed person. I stress myself out. I'm in a new industry. I'm in a new job that I've never done before, and I let a lot of things that shouldn't bother me. Yeah, like minor mistakes. I'm like a perfectionist almost. Yeah, I would say almost. I wouldn't say like
a perfectionist. Almost is my definition of perfectionist is someone who is always trying to create something that doesn't exist, because perfection doesn't actually ever exist.
No,
ever.
No. Well, I think perfection is subject to opinion anyway.
Yeah. Well, if it's the scientific definition of like perfect is, it's just like a mathematical thing, but it is totally subjective, which is what I'm saying. It's like crazy to be thinking about that. But yeah, I like what you just said about gratitude, because there's lots of people listening right now who would describe themselves as stressed. And or anxious or otherwise, and I think as a symptom right now, it's a symptom of a huge like pandemic that's happening in the world, and I'm not talking about COVID. So I do think that the world we live in, the Western world, people's expectations are incredibly heightened and potentially sometimes unrealistic, and we're constantly being marketed to, and the whole principle of marketing is, if people don't really get this, please listen to this really clearly. But the whole principle of marketing is to create a need within people for the product that you're trying to sell. Yep. So if I'm selling something to you, and I'm marketing it to you, I'm going to tell you why you need it, which is probably going to be through telling you what you lack. Right? Which is, so if you watch the TV, if you watch advertising, you consume any kind of marketing at all,
anything,
social media, it's all on there. You're constantly going to get marketed to like that. And things are telling you what you lack or what you need more of in order to be better looking, more attractive, feel better inside, all those kinds of things. So, gratitude, I read something today. It's like gratitude is the practice of being happy with what you have, not focusing on what you don't.
Yeah.
Look, I really, really believe that that's an incredible practice. And if you're starting that now, that's amazing, because doing that consciously for like a couple of years for me now, it gets me into a space where I don't necessarily write 3 things down every day or think about 3 things or whatever, but I'm just my mind is naturally focused on that.
Yeah, so it's a muscle. You're just training it to be looking instead of what I don't have and what I should be.
Exactly.
Whereas you're naturally in that state of like, I woke up today and take a breath.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can drive my lovely car.
Exactly.
I can drive a car and I can drive it to a job. I've got a job. Yeah. Like, the sun's shining. It's meant to be winter. Like, it's all these simple things. And
it's all perspective as well, right? Because it's like we can sit here and say, I'm grateful for this and that. But the reality is like half of the world still lives in poverty. Yeah. And this is just insane. So what you were just referring to is the brain's reticular activating system.
Literally just said it before.
Someone's gonna correct that for me. Whatever. It's basically called your RAS, and that is that like what you focus on. I'm gonna go buy a red Mazda. All you see is red Mazdas. So what you focus on expands. How you choose to focus your mind, creates what you see from there. And just to go a little bit deeper on this, is that like actually as humans, all we do is create meaning for things. So, people ask like what the meaning of life is. And the reality is whatever you make it, because there is no real meaning of life.
No, we just got super.
Hope I didn't just blow someone's
Do we
mind.
oh my,
We're going there.
Oh, here we go, guys. Buckle up. So yeah, we got super lucky on an asteroid, and like that single cell organism just expanded, and after like however many takes it took, it finally took.
Well, I actually think we're in a simulation.
So okay,
But that's a whole different conversation.
I'm not touching that. It's not.
I actually have a theory that we're in a simulation. I think it's quite a high probability when you think about it. When people, like when humans get stripped back to, I believe we're like an AI. We're like an AI software program. When people get stripped back to their core, and humans talk about what they experience as the truth of like being or the truth of life or whatever, they normally say, the answer is love.
Is that seriously the answer?
Does that make sense to you?
No,
you haven't taken enough drugs.
Okay. Clearly not. I told you we should have had
psychedelics. So yeah, it's like, all right, let me explain this in a different way.
Okay.
If you like stare into someone's eyes, another human's eyes for 5-10 minutes, you'll start to see into their soul. If they let you in, if you let each other in, you can see into each other's soul, right?
I feel like I'm too scared to try that. I've heard people just start breaking down and crying.
Yeah, it's
an
incredible.
incredible experience.
Yeah. I like where this conversation's headed.
That's not on the whiteboard.
It's not on the whiteboard. So that's what happens, right? And so you start to have an experience of like, oh, I see myself in you, like, and I see myself in you and you in me, and vice versa. And coming back to what I was saying about the simulation is that even human DNA, scientists have hypothesized that it actually looks like some kind of code, like it is like genetic code, right?
Yeah, well, that's how they speak about it.
Exactly.
So
that's my belief anyway. We just went there, but I think what I'm saying is that we're an AI because we kind of like can make our own decisions to some degree and steer ourselves, and we can learn things. But we're actually all part of the same thing. I think everything's connected.
Exactly. So I agree with you there. I'm not sure about the whole matrix. But
yeah. Well, I just think it's a probability more than most people let themselves think about it. Because we want to think that it's all fluffy and real and like, I've got control over my life and all these kinds of things. But the reality is, we don't know. We don't actually know.
Way too many weird experiences where it's like, there's no way, there's no fate or coincidence or kind of something's going on. You don't know, like destiny or whatever you call it.
So if you know that, then why do you worry about what you don't have or what you are not?
Excellent question. I try and have this conversation often either with myself or with my partner, because the thing is, he doesn't when we talk about it, like it's not in this way, but he's always like it's all going to work out in the end anyway. Yeah. And it's ridiculous because he's right. So I've been through so many difficult, hard things where it's been like earth shattering in my world, and it's been like the worst thing ever, and I'm so broken up. But it doesn't matter. So I'm trying this new practice where I call it the 10-10. So what that means is I try and ask myself when I get obviously worked up and stressed and anxious over something, and I can pinpoint actually what time, like what it is this time. I ask myself if it's going to matter in 10 minutes. And if it's going to matter in 10 hours, and if it's going to matter in 10 days, and so on and so forth, until I get to like 10 years. And then I'm like, absolutely. By the time I get to 10 days, I'm like, oh, no, probably not. And then it kind of puts things in perspective for my mind to be like, okay, Demi, it's not such a big deal. You need to take a deep breath and just count to 10 and chill out. Because
is there anything that will matter in 10 years?
Unless it kind of affects human life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
is there anything that you're faced with in your life that matters though in 10 years?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that could be up there. Do you know what I mean? That would be serious.
Matter in a sense that you would like stress about it right now.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ooh.
I can't think of anything.
So I'm trying to think about what I'm doing now is going to affect my 10 years. And if I do as much as I possibly can now, cleverly and strategically, and work harder and work smarter, my 10 years down the line when I'm 34 is going to be awesome.
You know what I would do if I was 24?
What?
Like, do you know that if you just
Where is this
well,
going to go?
because like you've heard of compounding interest, right? You know what that is? So that's compounding interest. If someone's listening and they don't know what it is, Google it. But you know, it's basically the practice of every year you gain interest on an amount of money in a long-term investment, and then because you're gaining interest on it, next year you've gained interest on an even bigger amount and a bigger amount, and a bigger amount.
So you basically reinvest your
you're reinvesting your interest into
your dividends, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
You're reinvesting your dividends. I only had one coffee today, and it's like 6. So
yeah, cool.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. So if I was 24, like honestly, I would pull out 10% of my income and just put it in some sort of long-term investment that I can net maybe like between 5 and 8% a year. Just like a bonds or something like that. I don't know what government bonds are paying right now, but there are some investment type funds that you can get probably 8% a year at the moment. And like, I reckon $5,000 a year over 10 years. So by the time you're 34, well, that's 50 grand in principal. I honestly estimate you'd probably have 150 grand in the bank, like based on your interest on top of that.
Yeah.
At very least, you'd like, that's probably really bad maths. I'll work it out and I'll
like,
throw in the number at the end of the episode.
Yeah, please do.
It might be something like 90 grand or something like that. You almost double your investment, but 10% of your income is actually not that much to put aside. Like, it sounds like a lot. I worked out on 50 grand a year, because I imagine most people listening probably on, that's like the average income in Australia, right? So, but yeah, I would do something like that. And, I think to even simplify it again is, I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was like thinking about investments, and he's in a pretty good position, but he's like 22. So he's really young. He works in the mines, that kind of thing. And I was like, you just need to make one simple but like good investment every year. Like, don't overcomplicate things. Just, whatever you can afford. If you can afford 5% or 10% of your income, to make like a decent investment in something, whether it be in an investment account or property or something like that. For him, it's probably property because he can afford it. And, just get something that's cash flow positive or is in a good growth area. Don't stress too much about it. Don't try to set the world on fire. If you just do that once a year over 10 years, he'll be a multimillionaire in 10 years' time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what you can do with all the resources that we have now. Like, it's like similar moves of what generations could have done before. What now we just got better informed decisions. It's not so much luck. We can actually run numbers and have everything at our fingertips to research and do what's it done in the past and what's coming up, and make better decisions instead of just being lucky.
But also, what I'm saying is like, I think people really overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And try and come up with multiple strategies. Like, I know I have for sure over the years. I've constantly been trying to do so much that if like from the age of 20, I just like invested 10% of my income every year, I would literally be sitting on like $1 million right now in cash.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that comes back to time, patience, and just like realizing that you have so much more time than you do, and not being in such a rush to like, create everything all at once.
I think it also comes down to the fact that this isn't taught in our cookie cutter schools.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I never ever learnt about investing and how to do the stock market, how to even open an account, what to do.
Yeah.
Like, it just like super basic stuff. And like, there's actually not that much information out there for people who want to do this and they've never ever done it before, without having to obviously go to a broker or something. And like, the average person that wants to chuck in maybe 1,000 or 500 or have a bit of a dabble, like they're not gonna do that, are they? So like for people who are just starting, it's very hard, because a lot of people that I've talked to about when I started, they were like, oh, so how'd you get that? How do you trade? And I was like, oh, I got this app and I've got an account, and you know, this is the minimum transfer amount, and this is how much each trade costs me to do, and what I'm going to do is like, this is my plan, and this is what I like to do, because you know, this is what I've got interest in and knowledge about and stuff. And they're like, they look at me like I'm talking another language.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would no means say that I'm an expert or intermediate in trading shares and stocks and all that. I don't even touch crypto. I don't do forex or anything. And I'll stick to the ASX just because I know Australian companies a lot better than anything else. And they look at me and their eyes are like, and it's people like similar ages, like in their 20s, like young 20s, mid 20s, even people who are almost 30, like especially girls, because like I know that I learnt first about trading shares and that through my grandfather. And even when I asked him about it, he was like, he's got a broker. So it's like, it would be like, oh, go ask a broker. And I'm like, how much I want to trade is how much it's going to cost to have his time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, you know, I think it's we could probably just call it now that, you know, the school system has actually really failed for like most people. And actually the best thing to do from now, you know, is just to really take responsibility for yourself and take complete ownership for yourself, your own education. Like if you want to learn something, you have to go out and do it yourself and figure it out. Just like with learning about how to be a healthy human, you're not taught that in school at all. Like the food pyramid chart that we were taught had like sugar, processed sugar and bread on it. It's like
is
staples.
that the biggest one?
I know.
It was like the biggest.
You know, like exactly.
The base foundation of your diet should be a whole loaf of bread.
bread and like pasta and sugar. It's like, it's just fucking crazy. No. And they've finally reversed that somewhat, but you know, still it doesn't really give the right information. No. So yeah, I think that's just like good, powerful advice to anyone out there listening. Is just take ownership for yourself, extreme ownership, and go ahead and like, you know, and
but
get
also,
what you want.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet. So it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so hard to like do anything because the schools don't teach you. And then sometimes people go on tangents on the internet and tell you that XYZ's bad for you, or this is going to save your life. And you know what I mean? Like,
you just got to trial and error for yourself. You know, like that's the only way.
I think common sense is very important.
Yeah. Common sense, but like building your own experience. I was interviewed on a podcast earlier today, my friend Jordan's podcast, State Shifters, and he asked me about something called, he asked me about something like, you know, how I built like a really high level of self-trust within myself. And basically it was like by putting myself out there, continuing to like make mistakes and learn, fuck up time and time again, and grow through it. You know, it's the same for like health and everything. So we kind of like tracked off a little bit there, but it was good. So you know, I want to just kind of get back to what we're talking around success and habits. What do you like struggle with around sort of finding motivation or discipline, you know?
Oh, just like there's so many expectations of you to be at an energy level in sales.
Right.
And be client facing. There's this expectation of the people can talk to you however they want. And you've still got to be all smiles and have energy up here and be so positive and be a beam and just kind of take whatever they say and their remarks as, you know, or if they say no, you just got to still be up there. And sometimes you wake up and you get up out of bed and you don't feel there. Like even I use the gym a lot to try and achieve and be super positive and smiley and feel good, and it does work because obviously, you know, it releases the dopamine and gets me going, and the cold shower, and you know, I come back and I put the music on, I feel good, it starts the day right. So that's good. And then obviously you got to find the motivation to get up out of bed at 6 a.m. and do that. So that's a whole nother ball game. But yeah, like you've got to just be.
What do you think motivates you then? Like what intrinsically underneath everything is the thing motivating you?
I think it would be where I've kind of come from, and like those pain points and those situations where I've been before. And it's like, if that's almost, I wouldn't say comfort, but it's like what I know, to be in pain and to be in discomfort and to be like, how am I going to pay rent? Or I'm not in a secure situation. I think it like I kind of draw back on that a lot. And a lot of when people say I can't do something, it's like showing a red rag to a bull.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll do it, and I'll do it 10 times better than what you ever thought I'll do it.
So you take motivation from like your past and you know, kind of the challenging experiences you've had where you haven't had money, or you know, those kinds of things, and then also people's opinions of you, and they share, you know, they'll say, oh, I don't think you can do that, and so you just take that as motivation. You turn their words into like your fuel, basically.
I kind of learned from an early age to do that, and I guess like some people think it's healthy, some people don't. Like I personally think it kind of, it works to a certain degree, but I don't want to be, I'm not fueled on that. I'm fueled on where I can be and what I do now, and all this like good activity is where it's gonna get me, and what doors are gonna open up for my life down the track, and what I'm learning along the way. So I think the whole point of why I wanted to obviously come on the show and talk to you is like the fact that it's not all about that dream that we're talking about with the, you know, you're in the beautiful house on the hill, you've achieved everything, you've got your opportunities, you're there. That's your destination for me. Like that destination in that little, you know, far off setting is where I'm trying to get. But at the same time, I'm trying to do something where it's like I'm enjoying the journey, because it's, if I get there by the time I'm 60, 70, heaven forbid 80, well, I just spent my whole life clawing and trying to, like, you know, get up that ladder and ruin myself. I haven't had a good life. I haven't enjoyed anything. I haven't enjoyed what I'm doing. I haven't enjoyed the journey. I haven't enjoyed the best young years of my life when I've got energy and I'm all bubbly and you know what I mean? Like hopefully I'm like this like down the line, but I need to enjoy where I'm at now just as much as I will enjoy what's going to be opened up in the next 10, 20, 30 years for my life.
Definitely.
So,
you know what? I said something on this other podcast today. It was like the only destination in life is death. So
yeah,
literally.
That's it.
Like we're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
We're all going to die. And, you know, I think I just want to maybe throw something at you and like help you reframe that, or help people listening reframe, you know, their goals as like a destination. Because this is how I actually think about it now. Because I've got a big vision board in my lounge room, which is like, you could call it a vision board. It's basically all the things I'm working towards.
Yeah.
The experiences I want to have, the like the property that I want to own, because I want to own a few different properties just because I want to have that experience.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a destination. I see it right now in my mind. I know that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I see it as an experience of life. I'm not attached to it. I'm not like, it drives me to some degree of like, yeah, I want to experience those things, because what else am I going to do here if not experience everything I want? Yeah. Like what else is there to do?
Yeah. Well, right now we're having an experience. Right?
Well, yeah, this is an experience. Recording this podcast has been an experience.
It's been an experience.
You know, creating a podcast has been an experience. But that's what I'm saying is like, for me, life's about acquiring and you know, acquiring experiences, having experiences. And, you know, when you get to that place right now that you think, you know, you're trying to get to in your life, what you'll realize is it's just a different experience. Like something I realized when in 2018, when I traveled a lot, I was like sitting on a beach in Hawaii, you know, like businesses were running back in Australia, like turned over like 2.5 mil that year. And you know what? I was still unhappy. I was still unhappy with who I was. Like, I don't even know if that was 2018, maybe 2017, but I think it was 2017. But I realized, like, wherever I go, I'm there. So if I want to change how I feel about my life, change how I feel about myself, that's got to be what I look at instead of acquiring things to get me a feeling. So that's where that shift happened of, I'm just trying to acquire new experiences because, like, I want to experience different things in life, but my state inside is now the same.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. So, you know, I think just to like finish off, one thing I actually want to really acknowledge you for is coming on the show, and you know, I think, you know, whenever you put yourself out there in any way, you're subject to criticism. And that's something I've become accustomed to over a long period of time because I've just consistently put myself out there in different ways. And I think that's really what it's about. And it's awesome for you to put yourself out there and like build that muscle of just like realizing that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about you. But really what you've done a lot of in this episode so far is like you've made some really powerful declarations about like what you want and what you're going for. And, you know, I think a lot of people, I wanted to touch on this because I heard you before we started the show, and it reminds me of a lot of what I've done over the years, which I've often said things publicly and like, I'm going to get this. And then like a year later, I didn't get it and I changed my mind because I didn't want it anymore or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think people are afraid to make those kinds of declarations because they're afraid of like, what if? And like, how do you feel about that?
What if it all happens? What if it's better than?
Yeah.
What if can go both ways?
Exactly.
I haven't sat here and said to you that I want to own like a $10 million company by the end of next year. I haven't said that. I've just said that I picture myself down the line in a much better like lifestyle, better experience, having generated more experiences behind me with better understanding of the world and a better understanding of who I am as a person. Yeah. I haven't, you know what I mean? It's not so much materialism. Like I might even not be in the same industry. So yeah, I think the what ifs.
But you said your powerful declaration was around like acquiring freedom and options and choice and that kind of stuff. And I think that is a powerful declaration to make.
I would never not want that. How could anyone ever not want that? How would anyone never want their freedom taken away from them? Yeah. To like get up in the morning and be like, and I'm going to go for breakfast and have pancakes because I feel like it. Yeah. So I feel like the whole, like going back to the what if question, I used to think that, and I used to get scared of saying things out loud and because it makes it so real because other people are now hearing me. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, it's almost fuel. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, people are going to be looking. Yeah. And they're going to be like, what's she doing? Like she said she was going to be, you know, doing this and winning and succeeding, and you know, now she's, you know, hasn't got a job and lives in a tent. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to keep doing whatever makes me happy. Yeah. And what's going to make me happy is if I use that as fuel to get where I want to be. And I think that's the key is that, you know, you can make powerful declarations like that, and the reality is it doesn't actually really matter one way or another. Yeah. Like what people think of you, it doesn't matter if you achieve that or not. It doesn't, as long as you're happy, you're fulfilled at the end of the day. But I suppose what I'm getting at with it is that you touched on it, is like it is scary to put it out there to start with. But I really encourage people to start doing that because it gets easier with time. Yeah, the more you do it, the more you put yourself out there. It's like good for you. I think it's good to embarrass yourself and be silly and
learn from it and grow. And
and laugh at
Yeah,
yourself and
exactly.
just kind of, and it's okay to change your mind.
And it's cool to put something out there and then actually see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
You know, like real powerful manifesting. Like I've had so many moments in the last couple of years where I'm like, fuck, like I made some pretty powerful declarations over my time, and like I couldn't have even dreamt up that it was going to feel this good.
Yeah.
You know, like that's awesome. So
I think I still remember my first powerful declaration was when I was like 9, and I said I'll be a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer.
You're not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer.
Mine, at my like year 7 graduation ceremony, they were reading out what everyone wanted to be when they're older, which by the way is fucked. Like isn't it meant to be cute? Fucked conditioning. Like now that I think about it, you know, just like conditioning everyone into that system of what are you going to do? What job are you going to do? And you don't know what even is choice by that point, you know?
Cause you don't know half of the jobs that are out there. You know, like maybe if you
engineer, lawyer, teacher,
doctor,
you know, astronaut,
fireman, like that's it.
Astronaut and fireman. So mine was actually politician. I wanted to be a politician.
Oh wow!
As a 12-year-old, and there were lots of like hisses from the crowd. I remember, like it's not hisses, but like parents were like, "Ooh," you know, like
ooh,
like
yeah.
Surprised by that. So maybe that was one of my first experiences of not caring what people thought. But I'm not a politician either. So as you can tell. So I think just to finish off, I'd love to touch on this, which is, you know, you said you're not sure of like whether you'll stay doing what you're doing or whether that'll be the eventual thing. And I resonate with that. I'm exactly the same. Like, you know, be flexible, be open to change. But someone shared with me recently this kind of this mechanism to maybe work out how to guide your own direction right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you love? What are you good at? And what does the world need? And if you can like bundle those 3 categories together, you'll find something that is actually impactful to the world and other people around you, and you're going to be fulfilled doing.
So that's the thing. That's been like what I love and what I feel fulfilled doing. Not self-fulfillment, like I'm servicing others some way, is really important to me. It's been a massive motivator before I've done some kind of industry or career shift, because it's always in the background of my mind, like, am I being a good person, and am I helping other people? Because I feel like that's how I get fulfillment. Like my love language, I don't know if you guys know about like love languages, but mine would be acts of service and gift giving for other people. So I love it. Like it makes me feel like I've almost received the act or the gift. Like I know, get really like nitty gritty about thoughtful stuff. Like it's a big part of who I am, like as a person, and I've like kind of acknowledged that because it comes out in every aspect of my life. So I think that doing all 3 together would be amazing. You know what I mean? Because that's also letting go of that idea and the ideology that success actually equals money, because that's not even in there, is it? No, it's what you love, it's what, you know, the world needs and what you're good at.
Yeah. And the reality is, if it's what the world needs and it's something you're good at and you love it, you're likely to be rewarded for it. That's financially.
I've always heard the term that if you're good at what you're doing and you're being good and, you know, you're enjoying it and stuff, and kind of in that mindset, money will come. The money will always come, because money comes and goes. Like it's what I've had to really work on letting go, because because I've obviously been in situations where I've been like, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent next week. I don't know how I'm going to pay that electricity bill. Yeah. And it's scary. It's really, really scary. And I know a lot of people have been out there who obviously have kids and dependents, and it's like scary for just me alone. Like I couldn't imagine their pain, but I've had to really try and work through the whole gratitude lessons and the whole relaxed approach to defining success as my happiness instead of all having this wealth and having a big bank account, because it stresses me out. Everything stresses me out, but like this stresses me out, and it's not good, because then it like impacts everything else. It impacts how I talk to people. It impacts when I'm working out, it impacts what I eat. It's like I can't stop thinking about, you know, how many zeros are in my bank account and, you know, oh, what can I buy that? Can I not buy that? And I'm like, I should get to the point where it's like I'm not being stupid, but I'm being relaxed about it. Like it's gonna come, and I need to understand that me enjoying what I do and servicing others is gonna give me much more fulfillment than anything else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Great philosophy to have, and you know that's just a reminder. You've got plenty of time, and patience is the thing. As you were just saying that about like not being able to pay your rent, it was only 4 years ago, pretty much around this time 4 years ago, where it was my second year in, my first year into owning my first real estate business. So mid 2016, and we hit a huge financial like slump because I'd taken my foot off the pedal, thought I'd made it, didn't have cash coming in the door, had like $400,000 in debt to the builder who we renovated, and banks and other creditors, and I was living off like $25 a week for food. So the business paid my rent. That was, I didn't take a wage. I was paying myself $25 a week to go buy a bag of rice, chicken, frozen peas and corn, and I made fried rice and froze it for the week. And that's how I lived. And that was only 4 years ago. It's, you know, it seems like fucking lifetimes ago, and it was for me, but it's only 4 years ago. And I think I just wanted to bring that up. It just felt like a timely reminder to people. So lots can change in a short space of time. And
100%.
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I really think a lot of people got value from this. So, Demi, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for spending some time together. It's awesome.
We'll speak to you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in, listeners. As always, you can get links on how to connect with myself or Demi below in the description. So just scroll down on your phone or wherever you're looking from, YouTube, whatever it is. You'll see it all there. Best to just hit me up on Instagram. We've just launched an Instagram for the Alex Waters Show, at the Alex Waters Show. You can follow that for all the latest content, highlights, everything, and all of that cool stuff. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. It will be very appreciated, and also just means you don't miss out on any future episodes. So that's it for this week's show, and I look forward to catching you again next week. See you soon.